Plaintiff Julie Lipson met the defendant through her father, and she hired him to do work around her home. Julie claims she asked the defendant to dispose of a scooter that was in her garage, and he agreed to do so. But 8 months later, she was notified that her scooter was involved in illegal drug trafficking. She's suing for impound fees, a ticket, and court costs. Defendant Matthew Stinson says when he took the scooter from Julie, he fixed it up and gave it to his co-worker. Matthew claims, unbeknownst to him, his co-worker never registered the scooter in his name. And then his wife drove it and got pulled over with drugs in her possession.
Start with you.
Okay, Your Honor, I met Matt. My father found him for me to do some work around my house. I needed a new gate built, and he did a lot of work for me and did lighting around my house, and just a really great guy.
Over the course of how long? What time frame?
I met him about maybe 3 years ago.
Okay, so he's done this for 3 years
Correct.
for you? Mm-hmm.
He had some workers sometimes who he would send to the house when he couldn't come, and some were a little sketchy, but it was fine.
In what way? Sketchy?
They just, I don't know, they just looked kind of strange to me. I don't know, I just had always had him, and was so nice, and I was used to him, and I would come home and there'd just be people with their headphones on. They wouldn't talk to me or look at me, and it was weird. They're at my home, and it just kind of freaked me out a little. I have kids.
Okay.
And then he would leave a lot of his stuff in my garage, his ladder, his tools, I think this big cutting thing, sawmill, which I thought was a little strange because I thought he would need them to do other people's homes and work. But he was so nice, I didn't even care. I mean, one time I was out of town and I had to stay longer, and he took care of my dogs for me. I just texted him and he fed them and everything. So I didn't know. I thought maybe he was witness protection program or something, and he couldn't come to the house, or the FBI was gonna come get this stuff. Because he would just text me occasionally, oh, I'm gonna come get the ladder. I'm like, okay, I'll leave the garage open. Oh, I'm gonna come get the sawmill. I'm like, oh, okay.
So he was sketchy by that time.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, let me get some background. Maybe he can tell us what's going on, particularly about those sketchy people you used to bring there. Who are these folks, and why do you think she believed they were sketchy?
They're just worker bees for me, the co-workers.
Okay, where do you get these sketchy people
just knowing them through working, on projects, people.
All right. And what about yourself? When did you turn sketchy, and why? You started off all right, but then you turned sketchy.
Well, I would do other jobs while doing her project, and she was absolutely correct. I would actually...
You were in the witness protection program?
No.
You said she was absolutely correct.
Well, in leaving, tools and ladders and some stuff like that.
But she said the reason for that, you might have been in the witness protection.
No, negative.
Okay,
Negative.
I'm sorry.
No.
I guess you couldn't tell anyway if you were. Yeah, you couldn't tell it.
That would be a well-kept secret. There you go. Mum's the word.
Plaintiff Julie Lipson says 8 months after she gave a scooter to the defendant, she was notified that the scooter was involved in illegal drug trafficking.
All right. Why are you suing him today?
Okay, so there was this scooter in my garage of my husband's, and it'd been in there for years. He never rode it, touched it, nothing, and I just hated it. And he swore one day he was gonna ride it. So he was out of town, and I said to Matt, oh, will you get rid of that scooter? Get it out of my garage, because I wanted to redo my garage. And he said, oh, sure, I'll take it, no problem. And so he did. I came home, the scooter was gone, boom, that's it, done. Well, 8 months later, I get this letter in the mail saying, Ms. Lipson, your scooter was involved in drug trafficking. Illegal drug charges have been filed against the person riding it. It's been impounded. You need to come to the police station and settle this matter.
All right.
Here's the police report that came, yes.
And
I had to read it 3 times. I didn't even know.
This is one of the sketchy folks, no doubt. Was stopped for expired registration, and she was arrested for, okay, it's a woman, was arrested for illegal drug charges. All right, and I guess your concern is, yes, you gave it to him, and he was to go and, did you give him title with it?
I didn't know. I know this might sound weird. I didn't know you register scooters. Like,
Okay.
I didn't know they had an engine. I just thought, rode them. No,
I can see that.
I know that sounds weird, but I just thought it was, I didn't think it would have anything to do with the DMV. And so I think he did try and tell me that maybe, and I didn't understand. He said, I need some pay, and I said, oh, my husband had a filed labeled scooter, and I just said, take what you need.
And I understand fully.
Yeah, so and then that letter, I don't know who that woman is, and I'm like, I didn't get it. So I just texted him and said, hey, remember that scooter I gave you?
So your husband didn't get mad when you gave away
I
the
still
scooter?
hadn't told him yet.
Oh.
That was the big problem.
Did he get mad when you told him?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just wondering, I had the similar experience with my sons. We had purchased the scooters years earlier, and they used to ride them. And they got cars, and so they weren't touched for like 2 years. And so the guy who used to drive me back and forth from the airport became very familiar with me, and he used to say how he lacked transportation. So I said, hey, do you want a scooter? I got some scooters we don't use. Lo and behold, of course, all of a sudden, where are the scooters?
Yeah.
They're gone. I gave them away. What? They went crazy on me for giving them away. They probably, I think they still hold it again, gave away our scooters. So I ignored them. Have you ignored your husband?
Yeah.
I guess you can't, but I ignored my son. Don't talk to me about no scooters. All right, so you gave it to him, and he failed to register it or exchange the information that required registration, and it was impounded by the police as a result of a woman driving it. And the question is, did you allow a woman to drive this scooter?
I did not.
How did she get it?
Similar story that you just stole. I mean, I had a guy who was working with me. It's a scooter story. What can I tell you? I had a guy who I was picking up to work with me. The scooter, I had the same deal. I brought it home. I fixed it up. I rode it a couple of times around my cul-de-sac. I thought, maybe not for me. And I parked it on my side yard and covered it. And then one day we were putting ladders in the back of on my side yard. The gentleman working with me, I've known for a very long time, said, hey, I like that thing. And I said, well, you know what? It's a real problem here. Why don't you, I'll give it to you. That way I don't have to go and pick you up every morning and you can ride the scooter. The only thing is you must get it registered and, legally drive it. And I gave him a helmet, and that was the last I heard of the scooter until I received a text telling me that this guy's wife had been driving it around with no registration and drugs in her pocket.
Plaintiff Julie Lipson says 8 months after she gave a scooter to the defendant, she was notified that the scooter was involved in illegal drug trafficking.
But you knew you had to transfer title because you knew a new registration was required.
I did, but I explained that to the...
How can you transfer registration without the title?
Well, you can go to the DMV and you can order a new title, and then...
You told him that?
I told him everything.
But the scooter was no longer yours anyhow, but you're being charged the impound fees?
Every day.
All right.
Wanting me to come get it. And I got a letter from the DMV saying not only that, what do you
think he did wrong?
I think that he did wrong by giving it to someone else.
That's what you did.
Right? But I thought it was just going away, like just gonna get, like...
So did he.
Right. Well...
It's called contributory negligence. Both of you did a little something wrong, I believe. So I'm going to let you share the liability. 829 is your judgment because I'm going to let him pay the other half. All right, that's my decision.
Thank you. I think that that's fair because I did give it to Matt, and I don't think my naivety is an excuse for not knowing. I mean, I should have realized that it needed to be registered.
The whole thing is a mess, and I just wanted some resolution to it.